Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Now, this is the second chapter in class 10 under the cbse curriculum. So, let's see what are the most important sections that you should revise before your examination. There are some important facts to remember, some points which you have to learn by heart. They are: point number 1, Nelson Mandela became South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. When I'm saying white rule, we mean that it was a government where only white skinned people held control over legislative, administrative sections of the government. More than 3 centuries means more than 300 years. 1 century is 100 years. So Nelson Mandela was the first black president, the first person of African descent in the continent of Africa, in South Africa. The inauguration ceremony. Now, what is the inauguration ceremony? The ceremony where he was anointed as the democratically elected president. Now, in this inauguration ceremony, where did this take place? In the Union Buildings. It was a sandstone building. Amphitheater means that it was open air, and you can use it as a theater, you can use it as a conference hall in Pretoria. Pretoria is the name of a city, and it was attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Now, why is this point important? Why is the location where the ceremony took place is so important? Why is this section so important? It is because that this Union Building, the sandstone Union Buildings, the amphitheater in Pretoria, was originally a seat of white supremacy. What is white supremacy? White supremacy is the idea that people who have white colored skin are superior, are genetically superior to are as compared to or against when compared versus people of other skin tone. So historically it was a seat of white supremacy. Next, you have to keep this in mind. This chapter is an extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. So he had written an extensive book. In your cbse syllabus, a small section has been selected and has been put in your syllabus. Now, on this day, another thing you have to remember, you have to learn this. It is very important. Now, on this important day, 2 national anthems were played. The Vision of the Whites singing Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika, it is an African song, and the blacks singing Destem, which was a song sung by the whites. So the whites were singing a song by the Africans, and the Africans were singing a song by the whites. Now, why is this point again important? Because this showed that Nelson Mandela very early on showed that he did not stand for revenge or retribution, rather he stood for unification. So the blacks singing the song of the whites and the whites singing the song of the blacks shows that he intended a clear path where the whites and the blacks would work together for the future of South Africa. Now, this is a very important point. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest of diamonds. Now, we have all heard that Africa is famous for its diamonds. Now, this is a saying that the mines of Africa are very rich in diamonds. Now, Nelson Mandela says that yes, my country is rich in minerals and gems. So he's not ignoring the geological fact, but he's saying, but the greatest wealth for my country are its people. Next point, I knew that the oppressor means the person who is committing the crime, who is oppressing. So the person, the criminal, must be liberated. So the oppressor needs to be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Oppressed means the victim. So the oppressor is the person committing the action. Oppressed is the person on whom the action is being carried out. But Nelson Mandela says that I not only have to free the person who is being victimized, but I have to also free the person who is carrying it out. Why? Because he is also locked away. He is a prisoner of hatred. I have to release him from his hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. So what is the significance of this line? Again, this shows that the path that Mandela wanted for the future of South Africa was the unification of the whites and the blacks. He did not want revenge or retribution for what had happened in the past. Now, what are some important words which you can or which you should remember and include in your answers? The first word is apartheid. Now, what is apartheid? It is a political policy that was put in place in South Africa. It governed the relations between the white minority. Minority means the people who are less in number. So, white minority. So, the relationship between the white minority and the non-white majority. Obviously, in South Africa, in the African continent, the number of people who were non-white, who were blacks, would be more in number, but they were the victims over here. So the who were the majority, the non-whites, they were the victims, and who were in the minority, the whites, they were the perpetrators, they were the oppressors. And it's sanctioned. Sanction means allowing racial segregation. Segregation means division, separation, and political and economic discrimination against the non-whites. Next word you have to remember is racial segregation. What is racial segregation? Again, racial means race. The word is derived from the word race. Segregation means separation. A means of maintaining the economic advantage and superior social status of the politically dominant group, primarily by the white populations, to maintain their social superiority. Next point is discrimination. It is the unfair or prejudicial treatment. Prejudicial treatment means preconceived treatment. To think that whites are superior. You do not even give the other person a chance. You completely judge a person based on their skin color. So you're being prejudiced of people and groups based on characteristics such as race. So it can be on basis of white superiority or white supremacy, gender. An example of gender is when you think that boys are good in science and girls are not good in science. That is a very biased discrimination, a prejudiced discrimination. Age or sexual orientation. Next is emancipation. What is emancipation? The fact or progress of being set free from legal, social, or political restrictions. So another name for emancipation is liberation. Now try to use these 4 words and their definitions, and the definitions which have been given in your 5-mark answer, in your 3-mark, 2-mark answers as questions are given. Try to include these words in your answer. All right, let's move on.